Iced tea or Coke?
Mm.
Because I am a basic bitch.
Oh, no, Coke is fine.
I found my order to be like extremely basic. Hello, Sarah. Come here. Come to Dad. Never mind. Fine. Leave me.
Oh,
Abandon me.
I have to put all my brushes back in Clip Studio. I had to
All of
reset
them?
my computer. I had to reset my computer because the Bluetooth drivers couldn't be detected. I uninstalled them so the computer could restart and reinstall them. It didn't do that, so I went through 3 different drivers to try to install.
Christ.
It fixed it on the last one. I can't tell you how much of this computer I already replaced. If I was gonna have to replace another thing, in this case it'd be the Wi-Fi card, I would have lost it.
Ooh.
But it's cheaper to replace things on this thing than it is to get a new one right now.
Yeah, that is totally fair. Me was depressed,
Oh.
then saw you were alive. Me happy now. Yay!
Oh.
I'm also trying a new thing on my YouTube, where apparently the some people are testing out to see if they turn off notify subscribers, if that'll let their video be seen more or not. And I already like alert you guys when my videos are out on Discord, so like we'll see how it works with like the Malal video that's coming out this weekend. I'm gonna do normal because I just I wanna vibe and chat and talk. Like
also, yeah, apologies for my like random product rant about or random product like ramblings regarding the Malal video.
No,
it's a good video and people just love it.
I don't mind. It's way more than what I could find.
Mm.
It's just that I couldn't include that in the video because I didn't have a source, right?
Oh yeah, the Chaos God generation and Chaos Champion generation tables from the Realm of Chaos books are wild. They're D1000 tables.
How the fuck did you roll that?
10 for the D10 for the 100, and then D10 for the number.
But it's a D1000 table.
Yeah. So it's D10, D10, and then D10.
Oh god. Wait, does Gabriel wear Cataphracti Terminator armor? In this game, he does, and this game, it's fucking ridiculous. This man does front flips in the goddamn thing. It's like we're playing a CS Gato book. And their excuse for it is like, he whips around, God Splitter and uses the momentum to do it. And it's just like, I think you underestimate how heavy Terminator armor is. I am gonna say though, this game still looks good.
Also, Fantasy got the better hammer. God Splitter feels like you're overdoing it. Skull Splitter is a much better name for your trademark hammer.
Yeah.
Kill every orc that crosses this threshold, Blood Ravens.
Oh, I desperately want the Galmaraz prop. That's gonna be so cool.
For Gal Miraz. Oh god, right, yeah, that doesn't have the short, it doesn't have the... Ah, I gotta use the arrow keys to move the camera. I hate this. Yeah, it was a big deal when Marines could sprint in it. Just how the hell does he have Cataphracti armor? It's M41. Cataphracti armor can still be... A lot of chapters can find them in their chapter vaults.
Yeah, also he's the chapter master by this point. This is like the... Yeah, he is the chapter master by this point?
Yeah, he's chapter master.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so weird to see them all with all their health back. Like, with their numbers back. It's so weird.
I need to find another way up.
And like, as much as people joke about like the Raven about the Blood Ravens like stealing everything, like one of the things that they do is like gather ravens. Like,
Yeah, they go out of their way to
so
find
they would-
stuff.
Yeah, like their motto is literally knowledge is power, guard it well. Like,
I think they changed it for this one.
Sent you to die.
oh okay,
Yeah, now it's none shall find us wanting.
okay.
With me, Scout Marines. We serve the chapter. Chapter master.
Yeah,
to
because he's like one of the
Battle
first.
Bard's
He's like
I require
one
a
of the few
tactical
chapter
marine
masters that they've
squadron
ever
to
had who
acquisition.
isn't also a librarian
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. I do kind of wish GW would acknowledge them more. They're starting to a little bit.
A little.
They've got a cool drill.
They did get some White Dwarf articles back in like 2018,
Mhm.
which helped them, I think.
I think they got a Index Astartes at one point.
Yeah, they got rules back in 8th edition. Their thing was that like you couldn't wound them on a 1 or a 2, which was
Okay.
really weird.
Dead men
I'm not calling Marines yet.
No, I want them to be more prominent because I want the whole they steal stuff thing to go away because I don't like it.
The what stuff?
Like everyone, the meme about them is oh they steal everything. It's like no they don't. They look for magic stuff. Like that is the
I blame Dawn of War 2 for that entirely.
yes, but the like GW seem to be taking the Krieg a little bit more seriously now, so that's at least kind of decent as well.
Cool, we're getting more Krieg. Can we get like other regiments, please?
Well, they're already like guard players already. Oh, they're only putting 3 types of infantry infantry platoon in the games. Like, yes, it's archetypes. And like, yeah, the regular infantry platoon that lets you play all the other types of guard regiment is probably going to legends. So, like
AOC, it's AOG, my guy. I'm announcer of games.
The array is secure.
I'm not an American politician. Thank you.
or an area of control.
Yeah, I'm not an area of control either. I'm sorry your plans got canceled, boss, but it's nice to see you today. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Phoenix was like, I want to do Mario Party with you on stream. We made plans to do it. By the way, Spaceland 1, so when we do play Mario Party 2, we're playing Spaceland. Thanks for that. You chose the worst one. But, yeah. Not much we could do about it. Phoenix got sick. Getting sick sucks. Like, Phoenix had to come home early from work today because it was that bad.
Oh no.
Kind of why the reason, like, why I overworked myself today is because, like, I need to make up for that. Oh, there's so much stuff going on in the background. Holy shit.
There's a knight down there.
Yeah. Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos. A double Gatling Knight. Let's go. Yeah, the main knight hero in this game is Lady Solaria, and she gets 2 Avenger Gatling cannons and a Stormstrike missile. I think that's actually her down there. Yeah, that's her, or at least her character model.
That's a Crusader pattern. I think, if the two guns.
Crusader pattern is one of each ranged gun. So like either thermal cannon, battle cannon, Avenger Gatling cannon, and thermal cannon, or whatever the fuck.
Give me supporting fire from here.
Affirm, Chapter Master.
I admit I never remember what knights are what. I just trust my opponent to not lie to me.
That's fair.
Oh, my knight can do this. Cool. I believe you.
Don't break my trust. All right, this is hilarious. Orc trucks can throw people.
For all their savagery, the orcs are resourceful.
That's hilarious. Run. No escape.
I mean, I'm literally waiting for the orc story where like a bunch of storm boys make friends with a bunch of biker boys and have storm boys riding on the back of biker boys to then launch into battle.
God, that would be funny. God, this game came out like a few months before 8th edition dropped, so it's so wild to see like firstborn Marines. It's so wild to see them again.
I've reached the hangar.
Yeah, and like slightly better proportioned orcs as well. Like orcs more in line with like what the new boy kit is like as opposed to the old one.
Yeah, this was very much like the time where Dawn of War transitioned to have like more of a accurate look at the tabletop.
I mean, the first one was pretty accurate to like the 4th or 5th
Oh,
edition.
yeah, it was very accurate to 4th.
Yeah. I miss the base building. The base building was cool.
They refined it in this game, and I actually prefer the base building in Dawn of War 3 to Dawn
I'll
of
be
War
there
1.
soon, Lady Solaria.
Okay.
I know a lot of people are going to say, like, blasphemy, but, like, being able to adjust the way how a building is and that you don't need a control zone to put it down, you just need line of sight.
Yeah.
A lot better, in my opinion.
I grew up playing like Command and Conquer and stuff like that, so it was just like it was Command and Conquer but 40k.
Oh, yeah, no, I fully get that. There's a lot of things in this game that had potential to be amazing, and then just, like, it fell really fucking short at the end. We're gonna turn this game into League of Legends. Why? What is this?
Ew.
Because League of Legends was popular.
What do you mean that? What do you mean that a 3-lane RPG doesn't work? A 3-lane fucking MOBA game doesn't work for an RTS? Damn it, Sonic!
It's the it's like the story about THQ and Dark Millennium. That they basically went to the people that made Darksiders and were like, we want you to make a 40k MMO, but can you make it like a first-person shooter? And then just add the MMO stuff later.
Stares and what the fuckery?
Like, because Halo was very popular at the time. And Call of Duty was really popular. So they wanted like a multiplayer shooter, but also an MMO because WoW was the biggest thing.
Christ.
I believe as a Sniper would put it, like if you want to get a good understanding of like, you know, what THQ's business decisions were like at the time, they put out a Homefront novel.
Homefront?
Homefront has a novelization.
Isn't Homefront that game where it's like, apparently North Korea invades fucking and succeeds?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then- What? Wait, did that game fail or do good? I can't remember.
It is a generic military shooter from the early 2010s. It did probably fine, but it's completely unmemorable because it was one of about 50 of them that year.
You know, that's fair. Get him, Dreadnought.
We'll make a name for ourselves.
I miss the orchestra for Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, you can still play them in Horus Heresy, apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
Granted, they're terrible, apparently.
Because I like their rationale for it, which is that they're actually like the least advanced of like any of the sort of the standard ones that Marines use. It's just that they're the most comfortable in quotation marks for the occupant. Because apparently contemptors like burn you out quicker, and you go insane in Leviathans.
Yep. Homefront was a solid 5 out of 10. Oof. Listen, there's a thing that I like to say is that if a game is so bad that we still remember it today, it still did something, right? A game fails if I don't remember what the fuck it is.
Also, 5 out of 10 is by definition not bad.
It's not bad, but like it's just not memorable.
No. I hate this about gamer scores though. The game score thing is like 8 out of 10 is, or 7 out of 10 is means the game is terrible. It's like, no, it means it's above average.
Yeah. Like, yeah, no, this is why
That's
I
how
hate.
numbers work.
It's why I just like I don't even score games. I just recommend like if you should buy it or not, or like if I think like there's specific groups that would prefer this game over others.
Summon our
Ooh,
sacred
good enough.
standard and rally beneath it, brothers.
Banner.
No, I'm gonna discard it with a lot of Space Wolf players who are currently getting very wound up about war stuff, and I'm like, they're going to handwave it. Bjorn is going to be fine. They're going to put him in a contemptor body, and he's going to be fine for reasons.
Wait, what's going on?
Because rumor is that they're doing a new Bjorn the Fell-Handed.
Okay.
Because Games Workshop is bringing him up.
You fought valiantly.
And people are like, well, the lore says that the Redemptor Dreadnought body like turns them into soup after like 6 months or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but one, it's Space Wolves. He'll either just be too stubborn to die, or the Space Wolves fixed it somehow.
Or it's just an updated version of the Caster of his older model, and he's still in that old box.
Yeah.
Which I think would be way cooler. Like they give him like a dynamic pose on it instead of just like looking like a dreadnought. Because really, like, what is Bjorn the Fell-Handed's model? It's got a frost claw, a wolf pelt, and a unique front. That's it.
Ravens, do not abandon loyal soldiers.
Apparently, from like a lore perspective, he's like fully intact in there. He's just paralyzed. Like, that's what
Stairs in what?
Yeah. He's not like horribly crippled or anything, or like horribly like blown apart and like, you know, barely a torso and stuff like other dreadnoughts. He's like got a broken spine.
Fuck, what? I don't remember they ever reveal how he ended up getting put into a dreadnought.
Maybe.
You know what, I'm gonna look it up quick. Hold on. We're looking this up, chat. How did Bjorn get put in the dreadnought?
A nice wolf priest came over to him and went, "Here, you live here now."
Bjorn led a successful raid to free those of his battle brothers trapped within the notorious Dread Sun Fortress, but his body sustained such terrible injuries that to preserve his life, what was left of his shattered body was interred in a dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Alright. So he got wounded freeing some of his brothers from a prison. Fun.
Or at least, you know, that's what he says happened, because, like, and I go back to this piece of lore because it's wonderful, the second edition Space Wolf Codex, which is the first ever codex, by the way.
Ooh.
Which is a fun piece of trivia. And it was the first ever Space Marine one for Space Marines. Has the story about how Ragnar Blackmane became head of a great company.
Oh.
And straight up says in it that it's probably all nonsense. That he's probably lying about the stuff that he did.
Probably. Vikings were always known to hype themselves up. If it's okay to ask a question, I was wondering if a Chaos Space Marine dies, is their gene seed corrupted? Yes. So, the problem with Chaos Space Marine gene seed and why the Traitor Legions and any other Traitor Warbands need to steal Loyalist gene seed or gene vaults is because the gene seed mutates inside them and they just can't retrieve it. Or for the Loyalists, why they don't recover Traitor gene seed is because it belongs to traitors. It's corrupted. It's heretical. And since gene seed hands down memories and experience to the next person that gets it, I think the last thing you want is traitor ideals being put into the head of your future generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why traitor gene seed can't be recovered from either side.
It's also like it's a matter of like degrees as well, because like there's like the heretic legions, and then there's like renegades.
Yeah.
Like the brazen claws, I think are not brazen claws. The ones that aren't the Karkar. The ones that aren't the Karkar.
Yeah, God damn it! Why does everybody have claws? I was thinking like astral claws.
No, it's not. They are. I mean, they are just straight up pirates.
Yeah, they're
like,
straight up pirates now, but like... No, I know what you mean. Ashen Claws, got it. Ashen Claws.
Thank you. Thank you. Are basically just renegades. They're essentially just renegades. But you'd probably, rules-wise in the game, you'd probably run them as Chaos Space Marines. You just wouldn't use a lot of the Chaos stuff.
Yep.
Like...
Even though in 30k Ashen Claws are available to play.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I mean, so are Carcharodons, technically. There's what the,
Yeah, they're both...
the Raven part.
This is why, like, people are like, wait, Concaradons are Raven Guard? I'm like, yes. They are unequivocally confirmed to be Raven Guard.
Yep.
Because the Ashen
Thank
Claws
you.
pretty much confirmed it.
Yeah, thank you, Alan Merritt, for, not Alan Merritt, Alan Bly, for, because, okay, so, product history that explains why lore is the way it is. Forge World released the Imperial Armor books, and so they released the Badab War series.
Yep.
As 2 books, originally. Which had what they did with it, what the guy who wrote it did, is he went and read all the background of all the various groups, everything that had been written about all the various groups that had been in Badab, involved in it, and then he just invented a bunch more. So that's why he decided to tie the Sons of Medusa in with the Mechanicum and the Novaterra Interregnum, and decided that the Carcharodons were this like void chapter out on like the edges of space and stuff. And he wrote all this and put all this stuff in it. And then a couple of years later, he wrote the Horus Heresy books, the Horus Heresy Black books, and decided to reference his own writing.
Ha!
So he had like the the Carcharodon. The pre-finding oh god, what's his name? Pre-finding Korax Raven Guard, their leaders are called Shade Lords. Because that's what he'd called the leader of the Carcharodons in the Badab War, and he wanted to tie them together.
Yep. It's truly amazing learning how far Warhammer has come and everything.
And yeah, like all the stuff about like the Sons of Medusa being this like offshoot from one of the clans of the Iron Hands and stuff like that is a result of the Sons of Medusa background being written with somewhat mysterious origins in the Badab War, and then those origins being filled in context when the Horus Heresy Black Books come out a couple of years later.
I already banned them, don't worry. I banned that weirdo. But building on this, I wonder if a Demon Primarch can become loyalist again. In Godblight the book, spoilers for that, by the way, it is implied by, what we think might be either Big E on the throne or the entity of Big E might be able to do it, because like the thing that is the Emperor, or what we understand is the Emperor, essentially possesses Guilliman's body, because I think he dies? It's not clear, but like something possesses Guilliman's body. And Mortarion for his failure is being dragged back to the warp, and is like begging and pleading for the Emperor to save him. And the Emperor says, "I can, you just need to be patient," or something to that degree. And it's just like, so is Guy Haley implying that like the traitor Primarchs can be redeemed? Which is kind of like, that's like big and wild, because their souls belong to the Chaos Gods. How are you going to get that back? Is it possible?
Clearly you pull a John Constantine, which is, I think... Yeah.
Pull John Constantine?
Look, at this point, that's basically who, what's his name? Oh god, the super spy in the Heresy is.
Ah, fuck. John Grammaticus?
Yeah. John Constantine.
You know what? I can't argue or disagree.
I love this redesign for the Orc War boss, by the way. It's so cool.
For, Gorguts?
Yeah.
Where he just has, like, the big monkey arm?
Yeah. Why didn't this get a model?
Yeah, I know the reason why I didn't get a model. It was Maka and Gorguts were going to get models, but due to Dawn of War 3's failure, they canceled it. And the fact that the Gabriel model didn't sell too well.
Yeah, because I don't like the design of Gabriel. It doesn't look like Gabriel Seth.
Yo, chat. You want to see Gabriel's Warhammer 40k Gabriel's
Gabriel
model?
Angelos, rather.
Yeah, Gabriel Angelos.
Gabriel Angelos. Sorry.
You want to see it,
Wrong
chat?
Gabriel.
I'm gonna show you it.
Let's go.
It's terrible. So I'm gonna show you Gabriel in Dawn of War 3. Because, like, he looks sick in this. Like, he looks the best. Like, I think Dawn of War 3 Gabriel looks amazing. Where's a good picture of him? Okay, chat. Come on, load the picture. Oh, well, fuck. Just want to open the window. No, fuck. I don't want that. Shit. pause the game here for a sec. Because I don't want Varlock, forces of Varlock keep coming and destroying me while I'm doing a thing.
No, that's fair.
God damn it, why... I just... Just gonna drag this over here. Alright, chat. Alright, chat. This is Gabriel. Was handsome bastard. He's got the big hammer. He's got the armor. He's all beautiful. He's great. He's big. He's good to go. Big lad. Good looking design for a chapter master. Love this. This is good shit. Then, to our horror and shock, when GW says, yes, we are bringing Gabriel Angelos, the protagonist of Dawn of War 1, and de facto, like, the main character of the Blood Ravens, to tabletop. You see, everything else looks perfectly fine. The armor looks good, the hammer looks good, but then you get to the face.
Ooh.
What happened? What happened here? We were doing so good. We were doing so well. Everything is beautiful. And then we get to the face. Who's that one guy from, like, the Avatar movie mixed with, like, fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger and shit? Does not look good.
Whereas various people have done conversions of him. There's a particularly cool one by a person called, get their username right, SerexS, which I have just linked in chat for you, boss. If you want to see it, which looks sweet. I put it in the chat for the room.
Okay, and then I'll just gotta drag over the Discord chat. Like, people just either replace the head with a helmet, or, like, they did conversions, like this. Which, this looks great, too.
Also, it's in Gravis armor, which is, like, yeah.
Yeah. They did make him a Primaris model for this game, surprisingly. Along with Diomedes and Jonah. Again, like, great ideas just going into this game, but just, like, poor execution. Game that, like, falls flat, like, right at the finish line.
Wasn't this also, like, the tail end of, like, when the at the time CEO of GW was like, yeah, our games are for, like,
yeah, no,
class,
he had
like,
just
people,
left when this game came out.
like, yeah, like, not, well, so it would have been, like, in development, like, while he was there, like.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like, the original idea was that we would get Gorguts, we would get Maka, but since Dawn of War 3... Dawn of War 3 literally only lasted a year.
How are we gonna get past those turret shooters? Me claw is a trick for that. Stand behind
I remember
me,
I saw it when it came out and I was interested, and then all the information I could find about it was about the not League of Legends mode, and I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm not playing that.
Yeah, it really didn't do itself any favors. It sucks because, like, this actually makes you really want to keep your, this one wants you to use your leaders in tandem with your army, which is great. Because, like, I just stopped, like, a whole bunch of damage coming into my orcs by having Gorguts literally wind up his claw and start spinning it around like a crazy person. It's got great ideas. But, yeah, no, it's very much like, if I had to compare Gorguts to anything, he's a fucking Blitzcrank from League of Legends.
that's the campaign that he canonically wins, I believe, correct? Yes.
So, in this game, they confirm that the orcs won Soulstorm.
Okay.
And in this game, technically everyone wins and loses. Because, like, the plot is that,
So
like...
far, okay.
Yeah, it essentially, like, the plot is that everybody's on this planet because there's another planet that comes out of the warp every once in a while called Acheron, and Acheron has, like, this special spear called the Spear of Cain, and it's a super weapon. So, like, the Eldar want it because, like, ooh, super weapon, that's, like, of our ancient ancestry. The Orcs want it because, ooh, shiny stick. And the Space Marines don't want anyone having it because just, like, that sounds like bad news. That sounds like really bad news. Because, like, Gabriel's dealt with, super weapons before, and he's just like, nope, not doing that shit again.
Meanwhile, the Drukhari are like, are we going to be involved? Like, can...
Nope. They were originally planning to bring in Necrons. Like, the game's after credits, literally has a Necron Lord looking over, like, the events that happen in the game, and turn to face his, like, awakening legion to get ready to fight on Acheron. But then,
that
like...
would have been really interesting. That would have been really interesting because you have that thing of, like, you then actually have... We would have had, like, the two different incarnations of Necrons in a Dawn of War game.
Oh, yeah. Like, throughout the game, like, on Acheron, you can see, like, all of the Necron stuff. It's heavily... When you look at the world building in this game, Acheron is very heavily Necron-coded. Like, the Necrons did something to Acheron to keep it, like, phasing in and out of reality. And, like, I can't spoil it for the game, because, like, I'm doing the reviews in preparation for it, but, like, there's a reason why. And it's very heavily implied that the Necrons were the ones to do it.
Like, you sort of get the feeling between this and between Space Marine 2, and that it's like, do these companies just really want to do a game with Necrons as the villains and GW won't let them?
I mean, that's how it feels. Like, we got one game with them as the villains, and that was Mechanicus, and we're getting a sequel finally, but... Nah, it really does feel like GW wants to make the Necrons intimidating, but they're not willing to pull that trigger for some reason. To be fair, when you give a race like a fucking map that can blow up stars, I too would be very hesitant.
No, but that would have been really interesting because, like, obviously, Dark Crusade and Soulstorm would have had 4th edition Necrons, and this would have been 8th edition Necrons, and they're not the same army.
They are not.
So what I always love to bring up when people moan about retcons in 40k is, like, Necrons literally changed 3 or 4 times from what they were meant to be.
Yep.
Like, in their entirety.
God damn, these guys look sick. Like, I'm looking, like, I was killing the House of Arlock guys there, and I'm like, what do these guys look like, actually? Because I never got a good look at them. But, like, holy shit, look at these guys. Like, they got, like, the full skull death mask. They got, like, the dragon shoulder pad. They got, like, the las gun for Kriegers. And these guys are supposed to be, like, retainers for House of Arlock.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Give us foot soldiers for knights, GW.
Yeah, stop being cowards and do it.
They're supposed to have serfs. Give them men at arms.
I like Mechanicus as much as the next guy, but come on.
I like that as well. Like they should have both.
Yeah,
I-
agreed.
I said this during the review thing of the detachments. I don't dislike the way they're doing allies and stuff in 10th edition. I think it's a cool idea, where it's like limited to specific detachments that then can tweak what percentage of your force can be allies, essentially, depending on the detachment. But like, there are certain things that certain armies should just have. Like knights should have some sort of foot soldier that can fight alongside the giant stompy robots.
They should have a troop choice, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not asking them to be good.
No, they
Like,
should very much be like, this is cannon fodder, begin and end.
Yeah.
Actually, Owl, do you play 40k? Like the tabletop game of 40k?
Not yet.
Are you planning to?
I am. I have everything. Well, I have so many sets I need to build. Specifically for the Thousand Suns army.
Sits here, relate hard. Oh,
Because
by
I'm
the
like,
way,
oh, I finally have enough to build the Thousand Suns army, but now that means I need to build and paint them all.
by the way, heads up to the person that bought me those Chaos Terminators. Thank you very much. Now I can run 640 points of Abby and a squad of Terminators.
Oh my god.
I can be an annoying dickhead, and I love it. Build a forward base here with a voice hut. Okay.
It was fun when we were playing boarding actions and people were like, wait, you can take Abaddon or like Gilliman? I'm like, yeah. Well, that's like basically your entire army.
Yeah, because it's listen, from one 40k player to another, the most terrifying thing down a hallway is not a Chaos Terminator. It's not a Drukhari. Fucking what's it called? Homunculi. No, it's a very angry Primarch or War Master staring you down. Because like,
I mean, the game mode is fun because it's actually pretty well balanced. Like they are like basically unkillable, but they can't do a whole lot. Like they're still limited in like what they can like accomplish, if you know what I mean.
yeah. Because like it's
But,
one,
like-
it's the idea of yeah, he's a powerful model. He's gonna murder anything he touches, but
Mhm.
like he's one guy. If you keep him distracted, you can win the game easy.
Yeah. Like there's a mission in the book, and it's straight up set. It's from the boarding action compendium is really interesting because it's got like the basic rules for playing the game mode, and then it actually has like a full narrative like series of missions from Arcs of Omen.
Yeah, I remember.
So
I have the
it's-
books.
Yeah, so it's got the one of that's meant to be the Lion and the Inner Circle companions killing the demonic navigators that
Oh, the
Vashtor put
ferryman.
on the ferryman. And it's just like it's a really cool scenario, and then you get to the bit where it's describing the ferryman, and you're like, this thing is terrifying, and I want a model of it.
I am, God, it's hilarious that, like, I can just remember these innocuous details, because, like, the ferrymen in Arcs of Omen, they're important, but they're not important, is the best
No.
way to put it. They get you from point A to point B, but that's all they're good for. Which is like, but they sound so cool!
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just
It's
sitting
like
here-
it's like the thing in reading like the background for Hive Secundus in Necromunda. And again talking about ferrymen, it talks about the abyssal ferrymen. of Hive Secundus. Are you aware of these guys?
Yeah, I'm aware of them. They're like the
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of like the explorers that like you pay to help you. Fuck, I don't remember them.
Well, right. You still have to pay them. Basically, so they nuked the Hive when the Gene Stealers took it over.
Yeah, I remember they nuked the Hive.
It all collapsed, and then so there's a giant sinkhole with a collapsed Hive city at the bottom of it. And then the Imperial Fist built a wall around it.
As you do.
Because they got asked for help and they went, this needs a wall. And basically we're like requisitioning like a couple of regiments of guard to guard this thing permanently. Because apparently occasionally monsters just crawl out of the abyss and attack the wall.
Yep.
Because Necromunda. This is... I love all of this because it goes through all of the stuff of like all these like terrible things that happen. None of this is of enough concern for like the Imperial Fists to like come back and help. Necromunda is literally a recruitment world for them, and they're like, yeah, the giant monsters crawling out of the radioactive Hive City that we nuked isn't a problem for us.
It's just a fucking Tuesday. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Call me when it's
Yeah.
apocalyptic.
Yeah, like the planet is literally having a massive coup d'etat. There is a permanent garrison of Imperial Fists on this world. They do not give a shit.
That's like the funniest thing about Necromunda as a fact, that like when people find out, they're like, what do you mean they sat there and did nothing?
It's not their job.
It's not their job. They don't give a fuck. If the planetary population is... Honestly, if the planetary governorship would fall, the Imperial Fist would probably be happier. Because then, like, they don't have to deal with them.
The thing that replaced it is basically a giant robot vampire.
Yep, I'm aware. I'm aware about what happened.
So I don't know how they feel about that, but like...
I believe the Imperium, including the Imperial Fists, went, are you paying your taxes? The vampire says yes. And they went, cool. And then moved on.
Yep. But anyway, so you've got the city. And then you have these guys called the Abyssal Ferrymen. And what they are is they are guys driving giant cranes on spider legs that take you in a little gondola on the end of a crane, and they transport you, and then the crane extends out and it drops you into the Hive City. And they like scuttle about on like the inside of the wall.
Chat, Necromunda has some of the coolest fucking models in 40K. I kid you not. They got like so many. I want to take like that big truck model that they made and use it for my orcs.
Oh, it's what a truck is. The Ridge Hauler is what a battle wagon is.
I want it so bad.
They designed it in reverse, apparently.
Oh my god. I love it.
Like, that's the idea. The idea is the Ridge Hauler is like the base chassis that orcs build a battle wagon out of, and the little one is the one that they build trucks out of.
Fuck.
It's also the only dedicated transport that you can get for militia in Horus Heresy. Is a truck.
That's amazing.
But yeah, like they just revealed like all the stuff about like the Ironhead squats and stuff as well.
Yeah.
There are submarine squats on Necromunda.
Yeah! Oh my god, chat. So, they revealed... So, they finally expanded upon the Leagues of Votann through Necromunda, which is great. So, the reason why the Imperium has squats is because they're just the Leagues of Votann. They're a Leagues of Votann group, on Necromunda at least, that tricked the ruling class of Necromunda into letting them onto their planet to begin mining and everything. by like promising like, oh yeah, we'll like help you fix your shit and stuff. And over time, these clans either rose to prominence on their own, split off because of their own drama and shit, or just like, you know, dwarf culture, you don't kill a dwarf kind of a thing. But it's really cool. And as Will just said, like, submarine dwarves, guys. Imagine Gimli in a submarine. That's how funny this shit is.
Like submarine dwarves that mine resources at the bottom of like nuclear radioactive poison seas and fight sea monsters.
How metal can you get? Like, genuinely, that's metal as fuck. Like,
and yeah, it's like it's complicated because like they're Leagues of Votann technically, but they're not. They're like, it's like saying they're humans who don't live in the Imperium. They are kin. They're space dwarves, squats.
yeah.
That don't live as part of the Leagues anymore.
And even, like, tragically, the reason, like, why all these different squat groups have, like, fallen out is, like, their ancestor core during the events of Hive Secundus, like, getting fucked up. What their ancestor core fell into a fault line.
Yep.
And, like, if you know how deep fault lines can go, they're not getting that shit back. At least not in One Piece.
Presumably also their Thane and their Crucible, which is the other two pieces of squat technology, or in League of Votann technology that they need. The Crucibles are the things that make the clones.
Yep.
So they can't clone themselves anymore. They can't make new clones. They have to reproduce the old-fashioned way, which apparently they can just do. So that's like cool.
Good shit.
That was like a question. Like legitimately, that was a question. Like in some of the League stuff is like, can even do that? And apparently, yes. It's just they don't have to normally.
Sign me up for submarine dwarfs. Damn right. And for those asking, like, what the fuck happened on Necromunda, where there's just like a vampire in charge of everything. So it's a long, complicated plot. But for those that, to give some background to what Necromunda is a planet within 40k where essentially it's kind of like, imagine a hive world, now put it on steroids. And then, like, put a bunch of ancient technology throughout it, and then just have all the gangs in Gotham fight it out. Like, that's the kind of thing we're dealing with here. So what happened is that the Imperium came in, a bunch of shenanigans happened, they took over Necromunda, they put an Imperial Fist fortress on the planet, so that way, like, they'll have security, even though the Imperial Fist don't do much. And essentially Necromunda is a massive manufacturing hub for the Imperium that's run by gangs. And the top echelons, like the the planetary governor of Necromunda uses the gangs to essentially instill order, and a assassin managed to get into the current planetary governor's room and do the stabby stab, like poison him and stab him. And this led to a power vacuum where everyone was like trying to fill in the position. Now, that guy's daughter eventually came into power, but so much had happened that a new power was rising on Necromunda, and they were flying the banner of an old house that had fallen long before the Imperium even arrived on Necromunda. And
it's not that. It's like 1,000 years ago. It's not like 10,000 years ago.
Yeah,
it's
it,
like
long gone house.
Yeah.
While all this is happening, by the way, the 13th Black Crusade is just getting into full steam, like the galaxy split in half. Like, they're at that moment. And so, like, cannibalistic cults pop up, tons of bullshit just comes out of the woodwork, a new cult rises up, and the leader of that cult basically is promising everything under the sun for, like, hey, help me overthrow the guys in charge. And a few of the gangs who were sick of, like, the constant back and forth were like, you know what, bet. If I win, I get to be higher up in power. If I lose, I just sell out the guy who failed. And for all intents and purposes, they win. Like, this new power wins Necromunda. And their leader was the leader of an old house, and he was just kind of asleep in a crypt for like a couple thousand years. And
I believe he was sealed in a crypt. It's not even like...
yeah, no, it's heavily implied this motherfucker was locked up. And, like, they open the casket, and she, like, the girl who's been, like, his personal assassin and assistant, she's just like, Master, you finally returned, that kind of shit. And he's just like, cool.
It's like, yes, I am now a 9-foot-tall metal vampire thing rising out of a crypt. We must find my other brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
it's
like,
oh,
what the fuck? And then,
yeah. Meanwhile, like, the previous governor is now, she is the previous, like, noble who was the noble lord of Necromunda, has met her long-lost brother and is being installed in a suit that basically has butcher's nails in it. Like a power suit.
it's fucked. Also, they introduced the main character of Hired Gun into the game, too. They put the girl's dad, the one who was stabbed and poisoned, into stasis to kind of try and figure out what to do. He steals the fucking casket! And it's revealed that, yeah, the
Wait, do you play Cal Jericho in Hired Gun?
yeah.
Sweet.
And
I've never played Hired Gun in...
it's even funnier, because, like, the reason how the rebels got into the palace is because he left the fucking back door open. Which is hilarious. He succeeded in his job, but he fucked up so badly.
It's even better. Like, the encounter he has with Lord, what's her name, Lady Helena, Lady Helena, who was the previous governor of Necromunda. The reason he can get into the palace is because he is part of her family line, some distant bastard version of it. And she's got a thing as like part of her like gear that like detect family members essentially, so that she can have them assassinated.
He just used that against her.
No, she notices, she encounters him, detects that he's a member of her family, and she's like, I have absolutely no idea who you are. However, you're part of my family, so you have to die.
It's so fucking wild. Necromunda's hilarious and so fucking wild, chat. Like, it's really hard to organize and play it because, like, I don't know why GW scatters, like, 90% of its rules from book to book.
Yeah.
And, like, there's no concrete way to play it. Sucks! Because it's genuinely really fun.
But, like, the thing they're doing as well now, like, the whole concept of Hive Secundus as well, from, like, a gameplay perspective, is Necromunda is really hard Necromunda is designed to be played as a campaign. It's designed to be played as like my gang versus my friend's gangs.
Yeah, it's a
and
campaign
the
that
gang-
builds up over time.
Yeah, right. Hive Secundus isn't like that. Hive Secundus is PvE.
Yeah, it's everyone versus the Tyranids. And whatever horrors lie beyond.
Mm-hmm. But it's literally it's a PvE mode essentially, because rather than going into the Underhive that you do in Hive Primus, which is the main, which is still like horrific. Hive Secundus is referred to as the Underhell.
Man, Necromunda's a fuck up. Some sort of cosmic horror shit, destroy the sector, then all that. Yeah. By the way, how the storyline ends is that, yeah. So the lady who's supposed to be like the proper leader of Necromunda, she's going to the Underhive. She's going to Hive Secundus, which, by the way, was overrun with Tyranids like a while ago. With her brother, who's installing her in a suit to keep her alive, and the Imperium's just like, hey, checking in. So we see that the previous leadership was overthrown. Is this gonna be a problem? And the guy says, no, I am loyal to the Imperium. And they go, cool. Are you gonna pay your taxes? Yeah, nope, we had a bit of a problem, but here's all the resources that we're ready to go for the Imperium. Cool. Okay, we'll leave you alone now. And
Eternal Cam, the books are called the Aranthan Succession, and there's like 2 of them.
yep,
It's like happy book.
that's how the situation ends. And for those that don't know what Hive Secundus is, so on Necromunda, there's really only Hive Primus, which is like where all the gang wars take place, and then there was Hive Secundus, which was like this really, really technologically advanced hive. Like the Imperium was invested in keeping this thing 100% maintained. One day, thanks to the Tyranid invasion from the Tyrannic War, like the first Tyrannic War, and finding out that Gene Stealers and the Tyranids are connected, the Inquisition gets a Magos biologist to go to like figure out like, hey, is there any way to take control of Gene Stealers or Tyranids in general, or some way to disrupt like their psychic field or something that gives them the ability to communicate? And this guy chooses Hive Secundus as like his place where he's going to run this experiment. He goes on for months after month after month, and he can't figure anything out. But then he's like, hey, I built this really cool psychic crown that will allow me to communicate directly with the Gene Stealer's brain. And everyone tells him, this is a stupid idea. Don't do that. But you know how Mechanicus be. If they come up with an idea, they're gonna do it. So, while this guy is alone in his lab, he puts the helmet on, turns it on, and then as his aide comes in, all they see is that he calmly takes the helmet off, walks over to the containment release lever, and pulls it. And willingly gets the aide and himself infected by the Gene Stealer.
Yep.
Hive Primus is overrun in a few weeks.
Hive Secundus.
Hive Secundus, sorry. So, chat, we have a hive full of ancient technology currently being overrun by a Gene Stealer cult. What do you think is the appropriate response? Do you fight for this thing regardless of, like, what happens? Nah, the Imperium couldn't be fucked to deal with it, so they nuked it from orbit.
Oh no, it's even better than that. The Imperium try to take it back. They go to war with the Gene Stealers for about a century, trying to take back Hive Secundus, destroying all of the advanced research and anything that would be of value in the Hive in doing so. After about 100 years, the Ordo Xenos finally realized this is their fault,
And the gun works good.
because they commissioned Hermiatus, the Magos, to
I need you to make some more
to do this. Also, Hermiatus, and the only reason they figure this out is that Hermiatus, that Magos, he got on a spaceship and he left, and the Deathwing found him.
Yo, Inquisition, you wanna talk?
So, the Inquisition are the ones who nuke the site from orbit to cover it up.
And by the way, so this is where like people saw like those weird Gene Stealer models like from a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
the Malstrain Gene Stealers.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why the Tyranids don't show up to Necromunda is because the Malstrain Gene Stealers are so fucked genetically that the Tyranids are just like, you know, I like eating shit. That's the wrong kind of shit. Stay away.
They've even gone as far as to say that like the presence of Malstrain is potentially what is keeping Leviathan away from Necromunda.
Like, that's how fucked up Necromunda is. And how both fucked up, dark, and hilarious it is.
Also, like, it's important to note that, like, we're talking about all this stuff as, like, galaxy-spanning implications of, like, like, so this, like, during this whole, like, succession crisis that happens, there's, like, armies, like, marching across the planet and stuff like that. And then it talks about, you know, the major conflicts and battles that take place between these armies. And it's a gunfight outside a bar. Like, one of the major battles that happens is between a group of Escher gangers and a group of Orlok gangers who are protecting their favorite dive bar.
Yeah. Like, it's that fucking stupid, and I love it. And, like, for those wondering, like, this is a game where it's, like, it's 40k, but, like, it's D&D as well. And that's, like, what makes it so cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's, like, several different gangs that you could play. One of them is Goliath, which are, like, imagine humans that are between, like, genetically modified to basically be between an Orgrin and a human.
Jeez.
They have like the intelligence of a fucking potato, but they are extremely dangerous in melee. And then like you got the opposite end of the spectrum with like the Escher gang, which is a gang made up entirely of mostly women, and they engage in chemical and poison warfare.
Yeah.
And then there's like
Yeah,
the Orlok gang, who's like your traditional like biker gang.
Yeah. All the gangs have a, like, in the background of the lore, they have like a thing that they do that is like their industry. The Eschers is poisons, and they're like punk women basically. The Goliath, like you said, are like roided up Arnold Schwarzenegger, like 80s stereotypes.
You got
The Orlok are like biker gangers. The Kodor are religious fanatics.
They got like
imperial religions.
they got like a fucking crossbow the size of a person
Yeah.
as a weapon. It's great.
They're like to do with like the church, obviously. The Delac are information brokers and spies, and they're like all misshapen, like Nosferatu kind of.
But like
people.
they're Matrix inspired.
Yeah, well, they were the I don't know if you ever remember the very old video game Chaos Engine.
I don't remember it.
There was a video game. They were the mercenary from Chaos Engine.
Oh.
Which is they were like one of the basically looked exactly like one of the character models from that. And like their backstory in Necromunda is just bonkers. They are like their house book. Like all the different gangs have like an individual source book for them, and like the Delac one is just bonkers. The Delac one reveals that like they're older than Imperial presence on Necromunda, and Necromunda was settled during the Heresy. Like, the Delac were living on Necromunda before the Imperials were. The Delac are probably not human, actually.
Probably not. They look human.
What?
They're not.
No! I don't want to spoil what the Delac's deal is, but it's very cool. Then you've got the Van Sar, who are the weapons and technology dealers. Their big secret is that at the center of their stronghold, they have a barely functioning STC, which is horribly irradiating them all, but it's churning out a whole bunch of ancient technology.
There's also like a butcher gang that runs around.
Mm-hmm. Ah, the corpse grinders.
Yep, corpse grinders. They're the people that make the food.
Mm-hmm. People. They're totally not a corn cult. Why would you think that?
What do you mean they look like a corn berserker? That's just their regular hat. You fucking you are insensitive to their culture, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you can also play as Chaos cults and Gene Stealer cults, which is great.
You can also make Gene Stealer cult versions of any of the other gangs as well.
Cool.
You also got the Enforcers, which are
Praetorian Enforcers.
The Palatine Enforcers and the Praetorian, who are basically just cops. They're incredibly corrupt cops.
I played them. I played Escher. I played Chaos Cults, and I played the Enforcers. I played the pigs.
And now the one that they've brought into it, the one that I'm most excited about, well, other than the squats, obviously, because you also got the squats that are on Necromunda. You have the Ash Waste Nomads as well, which are basically weird Mad Max style savages from out in the wastes who ride giant insects.
Giant jumping insects.
Yes.
They look like giant.
But now that we've got to Hive Secundus, we're getting spires again.
Let's go.
The spires are so cool.
But yeah, like Necromunda's got like a lot going for it. It's just a shame that there's like not one comprehensive book for it that's organized.
No, and that's the thing. Like its own community is like calling out for, and it seems that they're getting to the end of a cycle, and they might be doing that. Like
good,
because they're getting to the end of, to the end of the house books.
Good, because like I wanted to join in on the Necromunda League where I live, but at the same time, it's just like I can't be fucked to go find like all these different books. Because some of them aren't even being sold anymore.
No. But yeah, oh sorry, I didn't explain what Spire Hunters are. So, Spire Hunter, like the spires of a hive city are the highest levels where all the rich people live. So Spire Hunters are rich kids who go hunting in the Underhive for people.
For the equivalent of their daddy's car. They're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is like a power rig. Like a giant, or like they've got like the best gear, the best weapons. They're like combat drugged up to hell. And they're going hunting for people with daddy's money.
Infantry damage upgrade secured.
I love Necromunda so much.
What the
And now
fuck
they've
is
added
going on in my
Hexagundus to it.
chat? Why are you guys talking about Destiny when we're talking about Warhammer?
Ugh.
The fuck?
I mean, it's also setting with way too much lore.
Chat's just having their own little party in there.
Chat, what the fuck? I look like we're talking about Necromunda and I see you all talking about fucking Destiny. I don't even play fucking Destiny.
Man, I can't believe I missed out on the Destiny talk.
You said something earlier that reminded us of a Destiny thing. Cool. I'm glad. I'm just like, I look away for a minute. It's just Destiny. What the
I
fuck?
see. Okay, starting from the Crown of Sorrow.
How's it going, everybody?
Hello.
Who just hopped in?
It's Aramis.
Hey, Aramis. I'm sitting here just bewildered. Sorry,
What
we derailed hard. Yeah, we were talking about the gangs of Necromunda while you're all over here like, yeah, this crowd about Destiny is great. Couldn't be further removed.
The Crown of
You're like-
Destiny came up in the middle of a talk about the gangs of Necromunda.
I'm not mad. I'm just impressed.
That's
Wait,
a beautiful derail. I will give that to anybody who successfully did that.
Like I'm not even mad, by the way, chat. Like not even close to mad. That's funny. I
Well,
finally
then
had a
think
Twitch
West Ohio
moment.
is
I
concerned.
finally had a Twitch moment, like a stream moment where chat is completely off on some other tangent, not paying attention to what I'm saying. I finally did it. We reached it.
Yeah. Somebody better clip that. I'm not near my computer right now.
Like again, not even mad. Can't even be mad at that. That's just funny.
Mhm.
But yeah, like Necromunda is one of those really fun games that GW. God, I wish they just organize it. I hope they do with the next update for it. That like everything's in one cohesive book, so that way it's accessible. Because the problem that like Necromunda was like a lot of players were complaining about was accessibility for the game.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to try out most of the TTRPGs for Warhammer, especially like Necromunda looks interesting.
Oh, it's great. Like they have mechanics for like falling off a building.
See, I appreciate that somebody goes to that mind.
Because like I had a well, I was playing in a game, and I had a gun that had knockback. So like it knocks you back 2 inches, which by the way, in a game of inches, that's very crucial. So at the top of a building, the gang I was up against, they put their sniper up there, but I had a weapon where if I shot at them with it, they had to do an initiative test. If they failed, they get knocked back. So
Yeah.
they
Ooh.
fail it, that platform's only an inch wide. So
Ooh, so you just
they
clean off.
fell. They fell. I believe the building's like, I think it was like 18 inches tall. So they
Ooh.
fell 18 inches. And like, we didn't even need to roll. That's just splat.
That's definitely a splat at that point.
Like that ganger was one of their most expensive gangers, and because they failed that initiative test,
Just gone.
sorry, splat.
So you want to know a really, really, really fun connection to something that might get people like, kind of excited?
What?
So, Necromunda, the original version of Necromunda, was published in White Dwarf. It was a game called Confrontation. Confrontation was a reworking of an earlier rule set that the founder, the owner of Citadel Miniatures, a man called Brian Ansell, had written, called Laserburn, which he wrote in like 1980. And this was like in the early 90s they started doing Confrontation, which then later evolved into Necromunda, the first version of Necromunda. The rule set for Laserburn was Brian Ansell made it, and he released it as part of Citadel, and it was released by Games Workshop at the time in the 1980s when they just published a whole bunch of games. But this is before Warhammer. This is like nearly a decade before 40k even existed or anything like that. But it had like bolt guns, it had like all that kind of stuff in it because it was just sci-fi. One of the other people that wrote for Laserburn and helped him write the rules for it, or wrote rules for it, eventually left Games Workshop and went to work for a video game company in the UK. That video game company was Mythos. He then used the Laserburn rule set, which is also technically the Confrontation / Necromunda rule set, on a little game he was working on for Mythos. You might have heard of it. It's called UFO Defense, or as it was known in North America, XCOM UFO Defense.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, chat. It all comes full circle. It all comes back to Warhammer.
It always returns.
You can't escape it. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, you can't escape Warhammer.
Therefore, XCOM is a 40k game technically.
That's
down.
fun. I
down
can see
with
that. That sounds like some Inquisitor bullshit definitely happening.
I'm DTF with all this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Dread it, run from it, Warhammer arrives just the same. In a time where nuclear hellfire has long taken humanity, where our smart fridges are desperately trying to send us messages like, the food's about to go bad! The next species that rises will
Nobody
find
wants
Warhammer.
smart fridges.
Banshees have gained the quick strike upgrade.
God, I don't know why anybody wants a smart fridge telling them whether their food's going bad or not.
I remember seeing a meme where it's just like, it's like humanity's long dead, AI chatbots, like the last satellite is desperately holding on, keeping the internet
Yep.
afloat.
It's just all these AI chatbots going back and forth.
And like, your smart fridge is desperately trying to tell you that, like, hey, your food's about to go bad, you should deal with it.
I don't think it's gonna remember, nor will we.
And like, raccoons have finally evolved to finally have started like harnessing like the power of like their industrial age. Another animal group's like getting into like their atomic age. No one knows that the squids are getting into radioactivity.
I was about to say, it's 100% the squids and octopi that are definitely moving the fastest on that.
Yeah, it's the squids and the octopi.
Never trust the calamari.
Eating calamari, is it the most democratic thing you could do, or a squid conspiracy? More 11.
Basically.
Funniest joke from fucking Helldivers right now.
Who knows anymore?
Vehicle weaponry.
Certainly we don't.
We'll never know. But isn't it fun not knowing? Living on constant anxiety.
Base structure
It's the best
Well,
joke that
never.
our evolution did to us. We get depressed so we want to die, but we have anxiety so we don't want to die.
The best combination is the fact that our stress system is designed for immediate situations, like being hunted across the plains or a forest. Except now, we have jobs.
Good shit.
And we can't exactly outrun those the way we can, and a hungry tiger.
Joke's on you. I can run away from my problems. He says,
Is
not
that
able
what's
to run away
happening
from his
right now?
problems.
Is that what's happening right now in your assault on your enemy?
Well, if
'Cause it
things
seems
continue
like-
to deteriorate here in Canada, I'll be fleeing to Britain. Hi, Will. I'll probably be seeing you in the next few years.
I mean, arguably Scotland's a better option.
Oh, then I'll go see Socialist.
Yep. I feel like we all
live
run
in this. I literally live in the same city as him. So.
I mean, he's always looking for people. I mean, cross-connecting communities is always great.
I have a lot of like I know like a lot of these bad things that like my anxiety is popping up about isn't going to happen because like it just logically it can't.
Yep.
Despite like the most illogical of people being in power, like there is enough people with common sense around that will deal with it.
I'm just concerned about the people with common sense potentially just agreeing for their own safety. Because I don't know if you've heard about the more recent thing. Apparently, we're renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
No, you're fucking dumbass Green put in a motion for it, but like, who the fuck cares? It's a name.
I mean, my favorite thing is they've had over 60 years to deal with our ongoing daylight savings time issue, and they still just haven't done it.
Yep. It's that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, your anxiety's going to go to the worst case scenario, but remember that there's a lot of things and a lot of people that have a lot to lose. And trust me, when it comes between the nuclear button and your family, someone's gonna shoot the guy who's gonna try and push the button.
Yeah.
Remember, people tried to kill Hitler.
Plenty of times, yes.
So, like, we can get as it, like, I'm not saying it's not gonna be bad. I'm not.
Oh no, it's definitely gonna be rough, and I'm honestly looking forward to the fact that I get to go to a convention before, like, I really have to see or deal with any of those major effects.
But, like, logically, it's probably all gonna work out, and hey, look at the bright side. It either gets fixed and humanity finally moves on to our Star Trek era, or it's not a problem anymore. Just like with the Bomb Squad.
Yeah, but I don't have to move to Montana.
Yeah, what's the quote from Lion King?
Don't want to move to Montana to meet the Vulcans.
I was gonna say, hey, what's the quote from Lion King? If worrying about it won't solve anything, why worry about it? And if you can do something about it, why are you worrying when you can fix it?
Yeah. Like,
something like that. I'm misremembering it. It's been too long.
Again, like, be there for your friends, be there for your family, unless like they're not good people to be around. Then protect yourself.
Yep.
And don't talk to the feds.
And don't talk to the feds. Remember, the feds are not your friends.
The feds are not, or the police.
They don't got a warrant. They can't get in.
Remember, choose the firefighters before you choose the police.
God, speaking of that, I still can't. I mean, I'm not surprised it happened, but considering the cutting of the fire department budget to add more to the LA police department budget, and then now we're dealing with the wildfires, as if we.
Yeah, what do you expect to happen when you start?
Wait, what do you expect to happen in the state that is known for its wildfires?
What? Why would we need more firefighters? We have a pretty good slave force. I mean, prisoner force.
You know, totally don't fill the fucking reservoirs before the goddamn Palos Verdes fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's Palisades. The Palisades fire. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that whole area is just destroyed.
If we move to our Star Trek era, then I'm using the replicator to make minis. Do it.
Do it. All of it. Actually, now that I think about it, the moment that we have those replicators, everybody's doing it.
I'm doing it.
Which means everybody probably plays Warhammer.
Yeah.
No No more budgeting. No more budgeting for Warhammer. Just play. Oh god, I sound like the people that want to open free for use pool halls.
Vehicle health
Fuck, I remember.
secured.
I watched. So, by the way, chat, if you can, do watch Star Trek Lower Decks. It finished, like it's done. So like you don't have to wait for new episodes, and they're releasing them all on YouTube for free, so you don't even need a Paramount Plus account to watch it. But watch Star Trek Lower Decks. It's great. I remember them making a joke about like, hey, look at me, I'm like a 21st century person with like an arbitrary piece of paper with arbitrary value to it.
Hooray. But because we have this arbitrary price of things, it all matters.
Genuinely a great series. I liked it a lot.
It's a great series because it's also like it's a fantastic parody in the sense that it genuinely loves Star Trek. Like this is like a
It does.
like
But it also
it
is
comes
so up on everything else.
It's a series that loves Star Trek, but is very willing to take the piss.
oh yeah.
And it actually does do some like really smart commentary. I actually really like this. There's an arc. There's an arc in the series where they stop by a planet from the original Star Trek, where it was like dealing with the people that worship the AI, like that fucking computer. And
Oh yeah.
they found out like a decade after they solved that problem, they went back to worshiping the computer.
Of course
Because
they did.
they're good at solving problems, they're not good at maintaining it. Because, like, that's what Star Trek does. They solve problems, but then they don't stick around to make sure that it works itself properly.
I mean that's like the entire original criticism from Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
Like when you get down to it, is like, yeah,
They
this is a
clean-
sequel to this is literally a sequel to an episode of the original series, and it's like this could all have been avoided if anyone from the Federation had just checked on these people at any point in the preceding years.
But
Mhm.
Like-
no one did.
No one did, and thus this happens.
And
Um,
they bring back a faction from the, like, one episode group of aliens who are dim-witted as fuck, but they came back stronger than ever because people just ignored them. Which,
Yep.
by the way, is totally not an allegory for current political problems here in our modern day.
Totally not.
But, yeah, like, the entire message of the episode is like, yeah, no, like, we are doing good, but we can always do problem. Like, the problem just go away. It doesn't stop.
You have to deal with the system that created the problem in the first place.
And then they build off of that, like, for later seasons. It's great. Man, he worked on Rick and Morty, and the first two episodes really feel like Rick and Morty. But when you get to episode 3, it solves all of its problems. And it's great. And for all those wondering, it's focusing on, like, it doesn't focus on, like, the main crew of, like, the bridge. Like, we aren't focusing on, like, the Picards, the Spocks, the Wesleys. No,
No,
we're focusing on the lower deck people. We're focusing on, like, the chaff.
it's the expanding the idea
Grunts
from
and engineering.
literally the lower decks episode of the Next Generation, which is genuinely one of the best episodes of the Next Generation. Because it's what does a standard like that episode is of, if you haven't seen it, and for people who maybe haven't seen that episode of TNG, go watch it. It's really good. It's what does a standard Star Trek episode look like if you're not on the bridge?
Oh, fucking terrifying.
It's like, oh, this is kind of actually horrific. Like,
I cackled so loudly in episode 3 where the guy gets hit with a spear. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die!" And the main character just yells at him like, "We work on a fucking spaceship. No one's going to die."
From a spear.
I got trapped in a sentient cave. Do you know what it's like getting trapped in a sentient cave?
No?
It's the worst. Because all it does is complain.
Yep.
And it's even better because it doesn't focus on, like, one of the big ships. It doesn't focus on, like, it doesn't focus on, what's the name of, like, the main ship in, like, the main series? Enterprise? Yeah, it doesn't focus on, like, the Enterprise.
Mhm.
It focuses on, like, a California-class support ship. This is like a frigate.
Yeah, this is something that's not out there going and doing the dangerous shit.
It's like canonically, it's the ship that shows up 6 months later to do all the paperwork
Yep.
after the Enterprise has been there.
Basically. It's like, okay, so this is the place that they said they ran into, I don't know, a sentient shade of blue?
Mm-hmm.
Or was this the space sharks? I don't know, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
Like
That kind of
but, like,
energy.
yeah, it's an animated show, and then it does a crossover with like the current live action Star Trek show, and it really works.
Oh yeah.
Like it's good comedy in the sense that it can take itself seriously when it needs to. Like it can have serious
That's what
concepts and
I'm
do them in a funny way. It reminds me a lot of Red Dwarf, actually. A lot of it.
Oh, Red Dwarf. I remember when my shorts algorithm like showed me that show completely asynchronous, but it was good.
Do you know who also apparently saw that show completely out of order and had a very interesting reaction to it?
Who?
Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart.
No, that makes sense.
He had been in the United States filming Star Trek: The Next Generation. Came home to visit family and stuff, and was staying in London. And he was watching the television, flicking through television, and Red Dwarf was on. And he was initially horrified because the show had ripped off Star Trek. And he apparently was on the phone to his lawyer to ask them if they knew about the show. And by the time he finally got through to his lawyer, he was like, "No, it's fine," because he was laughing too much.
Yep.
Apparently, he really wanted to be on it, but they never could make it work.
Aww.
That would have been amazing. That would have been the most amazing crossover.
Oh well, what can you do, right?
Scheduling conflicts.
Yeah.
The greatest deterrent.
I'm not even paying attention to the fucking game that I'm playing, and I'm just kind of letting my Eldar units get fucked in the ass.
Oh, I thought that was intentional.
No, I'm genuinely also trying to play, but, like, I'm so invested in the conversation, because, like, again, chat, for those that don't know, I've been working since, like, I got up at, like, 8 o'clock. I've been working since, like, I recorded stuff as soon as I woke up, for the Ultimate Guide review, and then I started working on the rest of the script for Dawn of War 3.
Ooh.
And I finished that today. Because I'm an insane person that doesn't know when to stop.
Dang, boss. Going to Power Town on that one.
Yeah, no, tomorrow's gonna be low energy editing. And by the way, like, the Ultimate Guide video is gonna be, like, maybe 5 minutes long. Because, like, it's just a minor review.
It's a good option.
It is. It's just like...
It is just like a very surface level, like, here's what's in 40k, basically. But, like, it's
great for newcomers, as I say in the review. Like, it's a great book for newcomers. Veterans won't find much to enjoy in it, because it's, like, stuff you either already knew, or it's just like a little bit of fun facts that like, oh, okay. But like and I do like, I'm not gonna spoil the review that much, but like, genuinely, there is a lot in it for newcomers that I think is really great. It's just like a shame that like it doesn't include everything. Because when I think Ultimate Guide, I think like, oh, it goes into everything about Warhammer. No. Still, like,
the thing, sorry, I was gonna say the thing that legitimately surprised me about it from just glancing through it is that it's not all the newest stuff, which I was surprised by.
yeah, Hoodguard actually asked about it, and well, he was asking like, hey, does the book retcon anything? Because like, there's a bunch of people saying it does, and like celebrating it, like that retcons female custodians or some shit. And Gav Thorpe responded and said, no, it isn't retconning anything. They just, DK Books did not have access to anything that was being written or created while that book was being made.
Yep.
So, like, they didn't have access to any of the Custodes stuff when they were making the... Like, this book was being written as 10th edition Custodes was being written. So, like, lots of back and forth. Which, for anyone that knows, like, how collaborations work, holy fuck do I understand that pain.
Takes forever.
Sorry, my phone died. This is about the grifters latching onto DK40K thing. Pretty much.
Yep.
Like, the book doesn't retcon anything. It's literally just, like, it was written before the 10th edition book was even ready to go.
I mean, I'm just saying that Games Workshop can solve all of these problems by just giving us a female Custodes model. Just
I mean, the funniest thing is, arguably, there's no... If you're doing armor properly, you shouldn't be able to tell the difference between a male or female in armor.
yeah, just give us a couple of head options in the box and you're fine. Or
True.
Like,
That'd be
they
the
did that
simplest option.
They did that with the guard. Like the new.
You're right,
the
that
new
would be the better
Cadians-
option.
Yeah, the new Cadians just basically have male and female heads. All the bodies are the same. Because
Speaking of, I'm
yeah,
getting that special Cadian model. Ooh.
Ooh!
Ooh, which one?
The Karskin.
Ooh, sweet. One that's based on the old the Karskin armor.
Yeah, I'm getting that one.
Sweet.
And then one of the guys that I play Warhammer with, he messaged me and said, hey, do you have a Warhammer Plus account? And I'm like, yeah, I have to for my job. What's up? And he's like, could you check to see, like, what the next group of guys is? Because, like, I lost access to mine. And I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. So I look it up. It's going to be an Inquisitor. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
very
an
excited for
Inquisitor.
that.
I mean, I have one painted on my shelf. I can take a photo of his sweet model.
I missed out on, like, their anniversary Inquisitor model. I fucking love that model. It looks so cool. I wanted to use it for, like, a D&D Paladin. But, like, I couldn't get it. Because it was, like, at GW stores only.
Of your position.
And there's not a GW store where I live.
Pointy ears destroyed my beautiful war towers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's like you get like the Inquisitor who has like a, I think it's an it looks like an Inferno pistol and a power sword, and he's got like a servitor with him that's like all speakers and a servo skull because servo skulls are cool.
Servo skulls are cool. Speaking of, I'm very excited for when like Liefry gets back to me with the new background. It's not gonna be ready for like the next few videos, but like
Okay.
I requested that the bar have a Servo Skull TV
Ooh!
because I thought it'd be funny. I also
I do like that idea.
so there is a plan for February. Also, Eternal, thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the biddies. Appreciate you. So my old Warhammer guides are now completely out of date. They are so out of date, it hurts. It physically hurts me. I knew that was going to happen. I just didn't expect the speed at which it would happen. So I'm redoing that entire series, but it's not going to be like those massive detail drops. It's very much inspired by Joe Cat's Crap Guide series. So like very quick, very
Honestly, the
punchy,
Craft Guide is good.
very quick, very punchy ideas, and I tell you what you need to know in about like 5 minutes.
Okay, which one are you
I like
doing in
that.
rhyme?
Which one am I doing in rhyme?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because of the Bard episode.
Fuck.
Mhm.
Uh,
Ooh, actually, you know what? System of Battle would be a pretty good one to do that in rhyme.
no, that one should just be like a joke of like, we're in a church. And it's like the most aggressive church ever. I like that idea. Oh, we could do the 1,000 Suns in rhyme.
Ooh, I can see that. It's a good option, good option, good option.
And like the reason I say that is because like if you play Total War Warhammer, some of the Tzeentch units do talk in rhyme.
Summoning a Viper jet bike.
Also, like I got the Changeling DLC on sale and I fucking love him. He's so funny. Man, where should I go to fuck with people? Maybe down to the moot. That
No,
much of
but the
a...
halflings are nice.
He,
The halflings are nice.
he's like, remember
Oh my
the
god.
remember the time I turned the brass walls in Kord's Fortress into purple? That was great.
Okay, I need to ask this because I'm not caught up with Total War. Did the Empire have halfling units in it?
No, they do not.
Oh, so you don't get the halfling hot pot?
There is a building that you can construct as the Empire to do that. Like the Moot is a capturable city.
Mm-hmm.
And
Are you familiar with what the halfling hot pot is in Warhammer?
I am not.
So, halflings were a unit you could play in Warhammer Fantasy. They were very, very light infantry, generally archers. In fact, there's a Dogs of War regiment called Lumping Cooks Fighting Cocks. They have a cockerel on their banner. That's why they're called that, for no other reason.
Voice.
And the traditional artillery piece of the halflings of the Moot in the Empire is called the Halfling Hot Pot. It is a pair of halflings with a giant slingshot out of which they fire a giant pot of soup, which they put the spicy stuff in.
Huh. I did find it really cute that they do have in the Empire, like right beside the Moot, is the Blood Bowl arena. They put that there.
Nice.
It's like a blink and you miss it kind of a thing, but you can see it. It's great. Genuinely one of the funniest Easter eggs. But yeah, like, I know a lot of people like worried that like I'm gonna burn myself out, but genuinely, if I don't keep busy, I'm gonna go insane. And
There you go.
No.
I'm coming up with
there's that.
ideas that aren't overwhelming, and I'm doing stuff that I like to talk about and I like to do. To offset the problem of hurt.
There you go. Ross. I put it in the chat so you can see the model. It's adorable.
I'll look at it in a minute. But fuck, I love this plot point. Gorguts builds a fucking cannon for the Orc war boss on Cyprus Prime, and then blows it up and leaves him a recording saying, "Hey, fuckhead, I'm taking over. Bye."
That is the right amount of energy to that.
That is perfect, and I love it. And I just like, God. What Dawn of War 3 gets right is that it gets the orcs so right. I genuinely think this is like the best version of orcs outside of like Dawn of War 2 Retribution freebooters.
I still had some boys left.
I mean, honestly, like in terms of like Green Tide orcs, I actually quite liked the way they handled them in the first Space Marine game. Like
The first-
genuinely.
Yeah, like Dawn of War played orcs very comedic, which I'm fine with in a way, because like orcs have always been like that dark comedy faction in Warhammer. But
I mean, it plays them comedic until like the first bomb squig shows up, and then you're like, jeez, like no.
yeah, but then like in Warhammer 40k Space Marine, they just play it incredibly fucking straight, and I'm just like, oh, like they're literally just asking, what do the orcs hope to gain by slaughtering so many? Nothing. They're just doing it for fun. And you're just like,
It's a good time.
and you're just like, this is the scary thing about orcs, is that they just do this for fun. This is fun to them. Slaughtering innocent civilians is hilarious. And then you play
Just
orcs and you
so that-
forget all about it.
I mean, it's why Brutal Cunning is actually really good as a book, because it does that. It presents it from like the orc perspective, which is like, this is fun, and then it presents it from a slightly twisted perspective in that the first book is Mechanicus, but like it's like, you know, incredibly rigid order versus incredibly archaic chaos. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. God, I forgot how many paint schemes there were in here. They do have a Concordance paint scheme. Holy shit.
Ooh, Praetors of Orpheus.
Praetors Orpheus? There they are. Hey! And I put in my Wardens of McCrag. Right, I initially wanted to give them a lion symbol. I really need to commission somebody to like make my chapter symbol for me.
That is very
I-
Astral Claws. I quite like that.
Yeah, because originally like my Wardens of McCrag were Astroclaws. I was rebuilding the Astroclaws.
I mean, someone has to.
We got the Nazis!
Yeah.
Hawk Lords, Purple Boys! Warbearers. Never heard of these guys. That's interesting. They're Army Men green. That's cute. How do they look on a... How do they look
I need to Google. I need to Google those now.
I look on a Scout Squad. Oh my god, they're a bunch of Buzz Lightyears. That's funny.
That's beautiful.
I love that. Iron Snakes.
Buzz Lightyear, Star Command.
Hey boss, what is your favorite faction in fantasy? Mine is all about Aethel Lauren. Alright, you fucking elf lover. Honestly, my favorite faction in Warhammer Fantasy is the dwarves. I fell in love with dwarves and just won't stop, can't stop. Fuck you, Malachi is the best dwarf.
Yes.
But a close second is the Slaves to Darkness. Oh!
This is a great opportunity.
Real
for
Sinestral, thank you for the
slaughter.
raid. Spider raid. Spider raid. Spider raid. Nice, thank you. Hello.
I'm
but yeah, like,
so happy. I'm so happy to put the Goblin here in Total War.
oh, that
It's the
was,
stupidest war machine ever, but it's so good.
I am, ooh, Aurora chapter. Nice. I like the Aurorans, they're nice. I need to turn this off so I can just chat with chat. So, I tried to get into fantasy. I tried to get into AOS. It was not a good time. Because when I tried to... I looked at fantasy, it looked way too confusing for my brain. Because I started with 40k, and then looking at fantasy, it's like... Huh? Because my brain couldn't comprehend how armies back in the day used to fight. So, it never appealed to me. And then AOS came around, and it looked like 40k.
One debt to society later.
But then, I buy myself a Slaves to Darkness starter box, which is
One
a
debt to
chariot,
society
a
later.
sorcerer, 2 Chaos Warrior teams and a cavalry and Knight Cavalry. And I go, cool.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a really solid box.
yeah. I have 1,000
One
points
debt to
for
society
AOS.
later.
Does anyone want to teach me how to play it? Yeah, sure. I'll teach you how to play it. My former friend says. Proceeds to bring Nagash.
One debt
Oh, boy.
to society later.
For those that don't know, Nagash is the equivalent of the God of Death in Warhammer in Age of Sigmar. So he had Nagash, he had Arkan the Black,
One debt to society
and a squad of
later.
Skellies. He tabled me by turn 1.
Yeah.
I go, well, that's
So that feels really. That was. Wow.
One debt
Oh, it
to
gets worse.
society
So-
later.
I bad game, not the best teacher in the world. So I go, okay, does anyone else want to teach me AOS?
One debt
Another
to
person
society
responds.
later.
Yeah, sure, I'll teach you. Cool. Oh, cool, it's Stormcast Eternal. Like a great army to learn from. Why does he only have 3 models?
One debt to society later.
Oh. Oh no.
He brought their
Okay.
super guy on top of his mount.
Mm.
He dropped a meteor on my army and I, like, lost half of it.
One debt to society later.
Immediately.
Immediately. I wasn't even halfway up the board.
Do you still have the Slaves to Darkness?
I sold them.
box? Okay.
One debt. to
'Cause
I
society
regret
later.
that sale. I regret selling it, but at the same time, I'm just like,
Yeah.
If this is what AOS is, I want no part of it. Which
From what I
was
understand, that is. Yeah, from what I understand, that's not what AOS is now.
no, not even by a fucking mile. And what's worse is that they released the edition 2 months later.
Mm.
That fixed all of my fucking problems. But it was too late.
That always sucks. You had already been poisoned.
And then they released Cruel Boys, and I'm sitting here like, no, I can't justify it. I can't. Just feeling that pain, dude. And then Old World comes back, and people are like, do you know anything about the Old World? Because people are interested in, like, Old World and AOS. And I sit here staring at them, weeping, because I want to help. But I barely know fantasy lore, and I know nothing about AOS.
Mm-hmm.
The
I
only
mean,
the only fluff that I know from fantasy is Archaon's backstory, Bellacor's backstory, the Chaos Gods, because it's just like, what's the difference? And a few things about the orcs. And
out of
then,
curiosity, what do you know about the orcs?
huh?
Out of curiosity, what do you know about the orcs?
Anything from Total War, which is Skarsnik,
Okay.
Grimgor, Azog,
Mm.
those guys. But
Do
like,
you know the original ending to the Storm of Chaos? Like the then got retconned as the end times?
Grimgor walks across a mountain because a guy says some guy's calling you a dickhead, and then
Mhm.
during the final battle where like Karl Franz, like possessed by the will of Sigmar himself, is like sprawled out on a rock, Archaon raising his sword in like defiance and like screaming, "I have won, the world ends now," and all we hear in the distance is, "Oh, you spiky git!" He turns around, sees Grimgor smashing his way through all these different guys, gets up to him, slugs him in the face, screams in it, and kicks him in the dick and walks away. That's how the 13th Black Crusade ended, everybody.
The Storm of
Wow.
Chaos, not the.
No,
Yeah.
I'm making a joke.
Yeah. It didn't even kick him in the dick. He headbutts him.
Yeah, he straight up like headbutts him.
He just headbutts him in the face. Headbutts him in the face, knocks him to the ground, shouts "Orcs are the best" over him, and just leaves.
Chat, this is why you don't have an end times.
No, they then literally do it again during the end times, and Archaon cheats using time manipulation to not get headbutted. Like the setup for the end times is that Archaon like stews on this, then goes back in time to do it over.
It's stupid as fuck. The end times for Warhammer Fantasy is one of those things where it's a lot of cool ideas and a really cool end of the world apocalypse scenario, but then like it jumps the shark several times. Like the Skaven blow up the moon. Why? Because fuck you. It's funny.
Well, it's because the moon is made of warpstone.
Yeah. They really wanted
That's
to kill
funny.
fantasy. They didn't want to kill it. So
They want to make it separate.
so the problem was it was a bunch of stacking problems. So for those that don't know, Warhammer Fantasy came first. Warhammer Fantasy was the original. 40K was an expansion to fantasy before it became its own thing. So for a long while, as 40K grew in popularity, fantasy slowly grew with it, but not at the same pace. So like there was very clearly something else to focus on for GW. They focused on Warhammer 40K, while also slowly updating Warhammer Fantasy. But Warhammer Fantasy had so many fucking armies that... What edition was End Times in again?
The end of 8th.
So by the time of 8th edition, we still had armies that had only a 3rd edition book.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how
that's
fucked
bad.
this was. Like Bretonia, Bretonia.
It was 6th. You're correct. They hadn't been updated in over a decade.
Yeah, like over a decade. Bretonia, like the French, the guys who ride the fucking King Arthur Knights, they hadn't seen an update for over a decade. People were still using their garbage book. So the idea became, well, we can't just fix this. That takes too much money. Like, we can't just fix this.
Which Games Workshop didn't have, because also it's important to remember at this point in time, they were hemorrhaging money.
Remember,
because,
middle class Wales.
Well, middle class Wales, but also they had a cash cow for over a decade, which was not 40K. It was a game called Lord of the Rings, and there wasn't new Lord of the Rings films.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the best way to fix this problem? Well, nuke the world. Reset. Just reset everything. Because there is no way to fix this. It was so irreversibly fucked that this was the best solution, just handled poorly. So,
Yeah.
for those
Very
that
poorly.
for those that don't know, fantasy ends with the human god Sigmar wrestling for control of the Warhammer against Archaon, who in fantasy is basically Abaddon. Like, that's the equivalent. And they fall into the new world, which is Age of Sigmar, which is the new fantasy world. And hence why, like, you have characters like Archaon pop back up in AOS, because he just fell into this new one. And it also severed the connection between fantasy and 40K, because that's what GW also wanted to do. They wanted to make both properties separate, so that way fantasy could stand on its own without needing to leech off of 40K. And to be quite frank, as I said, this was handled extremely poorly. Because there was a history to fantasy. Fantasy came first. And there were tons of characters in it who just got fucked over. Like, for Skaven, Queek Headtaker was like the big rat for them. Like the equivalent of like a Gazgul or Imhotep the Stormlord for their faction. He just gets his head crushed by the leader of the dwarves. No epic battle, no nothing, just squish.
No, they have an epic battle. It's amazing.
Oh.
Like, they have an epic battle. They go to war with each other. They have this battle, and eventually Thorgrim Grudgebearer fights through his defense, grabs him, pulls him up onto the throne of power, shows him the Book of Grudges and starts reading every single grudge to him that's against him specifically, and then chops his head off.
Yeah, but still, like, they just killed Queek
Yeah.
Headtaker. That's
Yes.
to a lot of Skaven players, it's like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
And then like other factions just got completely wiped off the map, or fan favorite characters are just gone with no explanation.
Yep.
It was handled very poorly. And again, Skaven blew up the moon.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And then and then their city teleports into the ether. It's their capital city basically just teleports out of the old world, so it's not there when the old world gets blown up.
Yep. And then the thing that pissed everyone off, Chaos won. Regardless of what anyone else says, Archaon won.
Mhm.
And that is not a good feeling. Like, if you know Fantasy's lore, because like I liked Archaon because I was in my edgy phase, and I know like his entire story front to back. Archaon is the bastard child of Be'lakor, who didn't know who his dad was, and basically became a paladin. Like, he became a lawful good paladin of Sigmar. And when he found out that, like, the Everchosen was coming, he went on, like, this grand quest to go find out who it was, and he shows up to this church, bashes down the door, screams at the priest, like, "Who's the Everchosen?" And the priest goes, "The prophecy says it's the person who asked me that question!" And, oh my god, Archaon is the Everchosen, and he tries to defy his fate, and then he can't run from it. So, what's a man to do? Well, my god has abandoned me, and I hate chaos. I'ma burn the world. And that's essentially what happens. Is that...
Yeah, they made him an interesting parallel to Archaon, to Abaddon, rather.
Yeah, where Abaddon willingly embraced chaos, Archaon reluctantly did.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, nope, I'm gonna burn the world, fuck you.
Yeah.
They both have the same end goal at the end of the day, it's just that one's doing it for petty revenge, and the other one's doing it because I got fucked over. So now everyone suffers.
And hey, now we know they both won.
And for Chaos players, cool, awesome. For everyone else, so the edgy fuckboy won, because that's all they heard and saw.
It's also the fact that all of this, like, they released, I think it was like 6 End Times books, 6 full-priced GW End Times books. You also have to remember, at this point, Warhammer Fantasy, the Warhammer Fantasy Battles game, was the most expensive version of that game that had ever existed, because you needed more models to play it than ever before, because they were trying to squeeze every single penny out of this game.
Mhm.
So you needed army. Like, if you think 40k armies are big, Warhammer Fantasy armies in 8th edition, you were running square regiment blocks of infantry that would be 50 models.
Yeah.
And you'd have like 6 or 7 of those. 300 model armies, 300, 400 model armies were not uncommon. Giant monsters like knight-priced, not sized, priced monsters characters were pretty common at the time. Multiple of them that you'd have in your army. So it's this army that you've spent probably somewhere in the region of, you know, 1,000, 2,000 pounds on getting this like table ready. And then they start doing the End Times, which is this big epic campaign. Yeah, that's not unreasonable as an Empire army. I mean, that's an Empire collection, but like that's 12,000 points, and a standard game would be
Just
about
showing the
2,000.
size of it.
But yeah. But like, so it's like people had spent, like, the people who were playing Warhammer Fantasy had spent the most money they'd ever played on it. They'd not had the support that either of the other 2 main games had for close to a decade. since the Storm of Chaos campaign. And then they start doing End Times, which was 6 full-priced GW books.
I looked it up. It's 5, by the way.
It's 5.
full-price
Sorry,
books.
five full-price books. So I can't remember. If I'm putting it in more perspective, that's like £35 here in the UK. I don't know what that is in dollars.
That'd be about $60
wherever
where I
in-
live.
Yeah, about $60.
$65.
Yeah, so you're looking at $300 worth of books there, telling this story. These released over, I want to say, 8 months. There wasn't enough time to play them, like at the rate that people play like games of Warhammer. And then the world ended, and as far as people were aware, because they didn't announce Age of Sigmar for about another 3, 4, 5, 6 months, because they were still working on it. So as far as people were aware, the game was now done. There was going to be no more support. There was going to be no more models. It was finished. A lot of people weren't happy with it narratively. A lot of people weren't happy, and so they just done this at the point where they got the absolute most amount of money out of their most dedicated players. Because by that point, I'm a diehard Warhammer Fantasy player. I had stopped playing because I could not keep up with that financially at the time.
Yep.
And then they announced Age of Sigmar, and first edition Age of Sigmar, or at least the first year of first edition Age of Sigmar, was
a shit
I
show.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
So imagine this, chat. All of that, and then months later, you're told to your face, yeah, so all those models that you spent time building, collecting, building, painting, playing games with, yeah, you can't do that no more.
Yeah.
Can't do that no more. And this was extremely poorly handled.
But not only that, we've got this new game. It's even better because, see, the problem was we had that old game. No one liked that old game. Yeah, you that spent thousands of pounds on that old game. Yeah, that old game was rubbish. It wasn't doing well. That's why we got rid of it. Yeah, you didn't like that thing that you liked. So we've got this new game. And this new game is great. You're going to love it. You don't need to have... There's no points in it. You just bring whatever models you want. And... there's no missions. There's no competitive scene for it, for the people that wanted that. There's no information on how to do narrative. Just get together with your friends and play with some models, roll some dice. Here's a 4-page... I mean, in terms of rule design, it's actually amazing. It's like, here's a 4-page rule book. 4 pages on how to play this game. Every model is going to get new rules, with things like one of the Empire heroes gets stronger if you have a bigger mustache than your opponent. Not the model, you.
It's that kind of taking the piss thing, but you're taking the piss on a corpse, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone just watched you murder it.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, again, to all of our Age of Sigmar fans that will watch this eventually, this is how it started. And this was not a good foot to start on. It's why we still have people who are extremely salty about Sigmar. Why you still see old fucking grognards and beard warriors complaining and bitching about it. And
it is a perfectly fine fantasy, very wild fantasy game now.
And
it's
again,
very much its own thing, and I quite like it.
And again, to everyone who's worried, no, I think Age of Sigmar is perfectly fine. It just I got fucked over, and I can't let go of that because I'm a basic bitch, okay? I hold a grudge, and it sucks because there's a lot of cool looking models in AOS. Like, if you had to hold a gun to my head and say, what faction, like, you're getting into AOS, who are you playing? It's a toss-up between the Dwarves, the Forces of Chaos, the Cruel Boys, and Sylvaneth. Because I
the
think
Witch
the
Dwarves.
yeah, I like the tree spirits. I think they're pretty fucking cool.
Mhm.
Like, chat. You cannot tell me that you got the coolest looking Dark Eldar model with the fucking, what are they called? The Incubi, and then you made them look like this. Capture me
Yeah.
after my own fucking heart, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That is sick. Love this. Like, they made me consider playing elves, chat. And I like elves!
Boss almost
the-
played elves for this.
The Queen on the Beetle is just phenomenal. Like, just a phenomenal model.
She's
Like,
beautiful.
AOS has this, like, it's this entire different thing of, like, it's like god monsters and godlike tier characters and, like, chaff. Like, that's the way it works. Like, it's this kind of, and once you embrace that, it's kind of fine. Like, I get that. But I mean, look at Alarielle. She's just so cool.
And she's like, oh, it's so
Um,
fucking cool, dude. Again, like, it had a terrible start, but I'm so happy at the end of the day that, like, they made it work. They didn't just, like, oh, this is a travesty, we should just abandon it. No, they stuck through it. They realized that, like, no, we do have something here. And, yeah, it's gonna be growing pains, and we fucked up how it started, but we'll get there eventually. And they did!
And like, as much as I love the old world, and as much as I love Warhammer Fantasy, I totally get we need to do AOS because we need a clean slate. We need to be able to design stuff like the Sylvaneth or the Ideneth Deepkin. Yeah, do you want elves who are actually, like, soul-stealing raiders who ride around on flying turtles? And sharks?
I laughed when, like, people were excited over that. I laughed so hard. Because my brain was like, that's fucking stupid. And I believe a person's response to me was, when I said, that looks fucking stupid, and as I was laughing, was like, yeah, and I'ma still play it. And I'm like, why? It looks stupid. And they looked me dead in the eye and said, really? It's just, it's stupider than a fucking truck made of garbage? And then I shut the fuck up. Because how do you respond to that?
They're a race of elves who cast magic onto the battlefield that allows their underwater deep sea creatures to fly as if they are still underwater and swimming. That's how they work. It's like cool. But it allowed them that design space, and it allowed them that freedom. It allowed them the freedom to have an entire bloodline of Eastern European Slavic vampires that weren't just like knights or thing. They've got like this like werewolf sort of Russian kind of vibe to them. It gave them the freedom to have an entire faction of ghosts with the character models for that are just absolutely stunning. I mean, I've seen so many people that use the Queen of like Sorrow or something she's called as a Nightbringer for a game.
Which I totally would do, by the way.
Yeah. Like it allowed them that freedom. Now I can still go back and I can still, and because I now have Old World again, I can still go and play Warhammer Fantasy. I can play a version of Warhammer Fantasy that is now like playing Horus Heresy, where it's like I can have my older models and play with my rules and have my squares and do all this kind of stuff.
I can have my
and I can play with my friends.
I can have my squares.
Yeah, it's important.
It is important.
But like I've got a 4,000 points of dwarfs now painted for Old World, and I've got to play them like 3 times last year. Like this is.
Oh.
I have like squadrons. I have like squadrons of.
Just gonna
of,
point this out.
gyrocopters.
Just gonna point this out. Since the Emperor's Children were announced for 40k, all their Horus Heresy stuff is sold out. Oops.
Weird that.
Weird what happens when you give us models that we like and what we've been asking for years.
It's almost like they realized it.
By the way, chat, I regret, like, there is a part of me that massively regrets choosing Ultramarines as my 30k Legion. It's like, look at that fucking Terminator! Oh my god! I love this Praetorian!
I mean, you could do Zone Mortalis, Emperor's Children.
I know, but like...
You could have an allied detachment of loyalist Emperor's Children in your Ultramarines.
I know, but at the same time, my brain's just like, I can't justify buying this. I can't.
I mean, what if they release it in plastic, though?
Don't do that to me. Do not. The wife's already like, you're only getting Warhammer if your audience buys it for you. Yeah, I do have to wrap up stream here, but yeah, like my wife is very much like, you know, push comes to shove, like, have your audience buy you Warhammer if you want Warhammer at this point. I'm like, that's fair. But let's.
I mean, we will. That's the thing.
We're gonna slash rate somebody. We're gonna rate somebody here. Come on. Where's the raid button? Chat, how do I raid? Chat, how do I raid?
Alright, so it should be command raid, and you should be able to select
Hold on. Type /raid followed by the name of the channel.
Yep.
Wait, why isn't it
showing
showing
up? That should be a channel you follow.
Fuck. It's not popping up. They might not allow raids.
Sparkman does not allow raids?
I think not. Yeah, because like there's no match found, and I put in /raid. All right, chat. I'm gonna show you their chat, and you go over there. You go over here. Sparks Mini. Go follow. Go follow. Go follow Sparks Mini. Go raid them. All of you off my channel. Go to them. Go. Go.
You heard?
Because, like, it's not allowing me to do the thing. It's not allowing me to raid.
I have posted the link in Twitch chat.
All right.
Click it and follow, people.
Go follow. All right. You all have a fantastic night. I'll talk to you all on Friday.